topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert Show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from experts on such topics as legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to our experts in community association law, estate planning law, tax relief, Medicare, public insurance adjusters, neuropathy treatment, business brokers, and personal injury law, along with many other topics. Now here's your host for the last 17 years, Steve O.
Afternoon, Missouri, Tennessee. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show, where we bring you the finest experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. We want to welcome our TikTok. Wow, those numbers are astonishing. Our TikTok listeners. I got to tell you, folks, this show has been running a little over a year now. We've been doing the show for 17 years. We still have people who've been with us since day one. In fact, we've got probably 11 or 12 of those who've been with us for the last 17 years. And I got to tell you, this is what's so amazing. And I was just discussing with our expert attorney, Lance Drury. This is our second highest rated show by the numbers, thanks to you. And that blows me away, because all of our shows have great numbers. But to move up that fast, I am so happy that we have attorney Lance Drury. Good afternoon, attorney.
Good afternoon, Steve. It's been a while, but I'm glad to be back.
I missed you. I got to tell you, I miss you. That smiling face, but your great input when it comes to tax relief.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, Steve, I don't know if I've ever addressed this before, but there's really a double whammy for delinquent taxpayers now. And I say that because, number one, the IRS is not staffed properly. The people that are there, a lot of them are poorly trained. They don't know what they're talking about, but a layperson wouldn't know that. Somebody that deals with the IRS every day does. And so when they do have a problem, it takes forever to resolve. The IRS is making more mistakes than ever. But guess what, Steve? In 2025, the IRS raised twice as much money from delinquent taxpayers than they did in 2024. And how did they do it with a shortage of personnel? They did it with artificial intelligence, because a lot of these notices now are coming out. They're coming out faster, and the time frames between the nasty notices is shorter and shorter. So they're levying people faster. So you don't want to mess with the IRS. It's worse now than it's ever been. If you've got a problem, you got to take care of it right away.
Lance, tell people, because, we talk about tax relief and tax resolution. We talk about offer and compromise. Tell people exactly what your firm does.
Steve, what we do is we help out individuals and businesses who have problems with the IRS. Most of the time that's liability, but there could be identity theft. There could be penalty abatement. There could be installment agreements, currently non-collectible, offers and compromise. If you're under criminal investigation, we represent people in those types of instances. In state court, we represent people, particularly in Missouri, not so much in Tennessee, because if you don't pay your state sales tax, most people don't know this, that's a crime. You can go to jail. They consider it stealing, because guess what? The money was never yours. You were just collecting that sales tax for the state. So they're tough on sales tax. There's a big threat of criminal prosecution in Missouri Not so much in Tennessee. I don't know why that is, but that's just the difference in the states.
Lance, kind of in my opening monologue when I was telling our TikTok listeners about your firm, I told people that not to talk to the IRS themselves. Don't try to negotiate yourself when there's a firm out there like Lance Drury Firm. You talk to so many people every day who started off talking to the IRS. Tell people the kind of problems occur when you try to talk to the old powerful IRS.
Well, you're just going to get yourself in trouble. They take advantage of lay people. One of the biggest things is people think they can do it themselves. They call the IRS, they set up an agreement, then they call me. And the first words out of their mouth are, I can't afford the monthly payment. And I go, then why did you agree to do this? And they go, well, the IRS told me this is what I got to pay. That is not true. It's all based on your ability to pay it back. But if you're a lay person, you call them up, they're just going to make you pay back every last dollar. 85 to 90% of our clients, Steve, never pay back the full amount.
Wow.
15% never pay a dime. Because not only do we go through the numbers, we can perhaps give people advice on how to structure their assets, how to structure their expenses so they get a better deal out of Uncle Sam. I had a woman, I'm just going to give you one small example. Several years ago, this woman owed over $40,000. So I called her up one day because we'd been through her financial statements and the documents 3-4 times, and it showed she could pay $600 a month. There was still 4 years left on the collection statute. So she was going to pay back about $30,000, about 75% of what she owed. So I called her up and I said, you need to go out and buy a new car. She goes, they're going to let me buy a new car when I owe them all this money? I said, of course, you got a car with 200,000 miles. A reliable vehicle is a necessary and reasonable expense in determining your ability to pay this back. I said, I set you up on this now. The car breaks down. You pay the repair bill. You can't pay the IRS this month. The deal goes down the drain. You wasted all your money in Harvey. So she went out, got a $500 a month car payment. She paid the IRS $100 a month for 4 years, and then she was done with them. So she paid less than $5,000 over time on a $40,000 plus tax debt.
Amazing. Lance, again, reading all these letters, people don't understand you've got so many tools in the tool chest that can help these taxpayers out. They think, hey, if I don't qualify this, then there's nothing they can do. That is so untrue.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that you can do. Like I said, it's all based on your ability to pay it back. And there's things that we can give people strategies on what to do or how to structure their assets so they get a better deal out of this. That's why the vast majority of our clients never pay back the full amount, but the IRS will never tell you that if you call them up yourself. So yeah, there are lots of tools of the trade. Steve, I got to tell you, I'm 72. I've been around the block. When I was just a small town lawyer, I spent 15 hours a year keeping up on this stuff. Now myself and my 7 other lawyers, we spend 50 to 100 hours or more every year just keeping up on this because they're a bureaucracy. Things are changing. Things were different during COVID than they are now. They're different again. They're cutting here. They're cutting there. It is a tough time if you're a delinquent taxpayer for the reasons I outlined at the beginning of this show. They have a shortage of personnel, so the service is terrible, but at the same time, they're getting to you quicker in the levy department, which means they can wipe out your bank account. They can take up to 90% of your wages, 100% of your 1099s, 15% of your Social Security. But if that Social Security check, once it's debited in your bank account, they can take the whole thing. So You need help. And there's more and more delinquent taxpayers every day. Just today, Steve, one of my legal assistants set up 3 prospective clients for me on Monday. All 3 of them owe more than $100,000 in tax liability to the IRS. So don't try to delay. Now, there are times when we can run out the clock, but if you've got a problem, do not delay, because they're coming after people quicker than ever.
Lance, we get so many compliments on this show because they say it doesn't sound like an advertisement. It's truly educational information, which you are so good at. But there's something I've got to throw out there. There, you see these ads, these national ads, and people don't understand, because I get the letters and people go, I paid them all this money, and it's like pulling teeth to get them to return a call. They keep me for months not knowing what's going on. And now I'm afraid to hire another company because I don't want to go through what I just went through. Can you make people feel a little bit more relaxed about hiring a firm like yours?
Well, I tell everybody, if you don't hire me, there's 3 rules. You hire an attorney that does this every single day. Accountants are great with the numbers, but they only dabble in this. 90% of what they do is tax preparation. All my attorneys have seen accountants give horrendous advice to their clients when it comes to dealing with the IRS. Number 2, go local. Number 3, don't hire one of the big boys. There's a lot of scam artists out there. The industry gets a bad name because of that. And what you said is absolutely true, Steve. I get these people that have gone somewhere else before, paid $10,000, $20,000. Nothing was done. They're the hardest ones to convince that they should hire you. And so I just let my track record speak for itself. They can look at our Google reviews. They can go to our website. So we're the real deal. We'll help people out. But you do need a tax professional to help you with this. Because you can't go up against the big bad wolf on your own.
Well, I got to tell you, we get so many wives and family members who've written us saying, my husband or my son, my father keeps procrastinating, and they don't really know what the IRS can do to you. And that's probably the reason why so many people procrastinate. Tell people again what the IRS can do if you keep trying to stick your head in the sand.
Well, they can wipe out your bank account. They can take 90% of your wages. They can seize assets. They can do all of that. And Steve, I'm glad that you brought that up about these women, because guess what? Most of the time it's the men who get in trouble, and most of them are self-employed. And so when I have a couple come in, one of the things I do is I look at the woman and I go, have you been on him about this? And 90% of the time, they're the driving force to get the problem rectified, because they're on their husband or they're on their boyfriend to get this taken care of. But I think the reason why most of my clients are men is probably because there's more men self-employed. It's your wage earners. We do get wage earners, but those are the people who don't have enough withheld. But for the most part, if you're a W-2 employee, most of those people don't have a problem. It's the people that the taxes are not automatically taken out, self-employed people, those are the ones who get in trouble. And I got to tell you, Steve, everybody thinks being your own boss is the American dream. Now, I like it. I work a lot. I'm going to my St. Louis office tomorrow. It's a Saturday. I'm going to work Sunday morning, Steve, but I like it. But, you know, most small businesses do not make a whole lot of money. There is so much regulation. There is so much to learn to keep up on all the demands on a small business. And you got to fund your own retirement and your own medical care. So, you know, and you don't make a whole lot of money for the most part. A lot of small businesses, they don't make it because it's a tough game. And the last thing self-employed people want to do when they get home late at night is to do paperwork.
Yes.
So And, they just procrastinate. My clients procrastinate. And so they get behind. They didn't file their tax for a year. Well, lo and behold, now it's 5 years that they haven't filed a tax return. So you've got to file your tax returns. It's a crime not to file your tax returns. So do it. Get your problems straightened out. We're here to help.
Yeah, okay, we just got, gosh, we've got so many people writing in from TikTok. I'm going to just take this one from Memphis. He said, can you be held personally liable for your business taxes?
Well, if you're a sole proprietor, it flows through your 1040, so you are. But even if you're incorporated, if you owe payroll tax, the IRS can come after you for the portion of the unpaid payroll tax that's attributable to the employee. That's generally 50 to 60% of the total payroll tax. And the significance of that is if they find that you're a responsible party, that is that you operated and owned the business. And in addition, you knew or should have known. And if you own the business, you have a duty to know whether or not the taxes were being paid. And the significance of that then is now your personal assets are at risk. Now your personal income is at risk. And the IRS does this a lot because even these businesses that go defunct, you're not responsible for the business income tax, the 1120, but you can be responsible for that portion of the payroll tax that went unpaid that's attributable to the employee. They can come after you personally for that. And if you have a business and you don't pay the sales tax by state statute in all these states, you're 100% personally liable for that unpaid sales tax for the reasons we talked about earlier, Steve. They consider it stealing. You never owned that money. It was never yours. You were just collecting it for the state.
This is kind of the rules of TikTok. We have to say, please tap the screen, give us a line, and we'll try to get it in. Again, please follow us, give us a like. Let me go to Phil. He said, I just found your show. I am so afraid about the IRS coming to my place of business. Can they do that?
Well, they've put a lot of restrictions on that recently, so that's not really a fear. However, if they're coming after if you have unpaid business taxes, they will want to come to your business to view everything because they want to check out all of your assets and all of your equipment and everything like that. But they no longer make unannounced visits to your place of business. But yeah, if you owe business taxes, they're free to come. So here's what we do. We don't want our clients anywhere around. So if they're coming to look at the business, we make sure our client is nowhere around and one of our attorneys will be there to talk to the IRS. But we don't want our clients making any statements directly to the IRS. That's what you hired us for. In fact, it's a condition in our engagement letter. It's a condition of our continued representation that the client not talk directly to the IRS because then we don't know what's going on. And, then we get into this argument with the IRS. The IRS says, I told your client this. The client says no. Well, we can't argue with them because we weren't privy to that conversation. So, yeah, they can still come to your place of business, and they will want to do that if you owe back taxes from your business.
A female from St. Louis, your part of the country, said that she is so embarrassed of the position she is in, and she wants to know, she said, I've been afraid to pick up the phone because I know I'm wrong, and I'm so afraid about being arrested. Can your company, your firm, help me?
Absolutely. And you've got to get this taken care of. I mean, most people, I'd say 60 to 70% of the people we talk to hire us right away. But you wouldn't believe how many times, Steve, people come to me, they decide not to hire us right away. 3 months later, they get levied. 6 months later,
Wow.
they get levied. And that's the cost, because how are you going to feed your family if your bank account is wiped out? How are you going to feed your family if they take 90% of your take-home pay? So don't put your head in the sand and don't let the fear prevent you from calling me and getting help. You've got to take that first step. It is so important, because one of these days you're going to get zapped by the IRS, and they're doing more and more of that. And to this woman, I just want to tell you, don't be embarrassed. There's over 25 million delinquent taxpayers in the United States, and they are estimating that by the year 2032, there will be 35 million delinquent taxpayers. That's not only tax liability, that's people who have not filed their tax returns as well. So you've got to take that first step. You've got to block the inertia. You've got to keep going to get this problem resolved, because it's not going to go away on its own.
I want to end with this one. I'm so sorry, all the people who wrote questions in. Actually, Monday at 9 o'clock Eastern, 9:25 Eastern time, we've got our show coming on. I think it's the first Monday of the month. And so Lance will be back. We're also going to be doing a show on Tuesday. But I wanted to get this in. Someone just wrote, I am so glad hearing your law firm only has attorneys. The company I talked to had what was called an enrolled agent. They were not attorneys. That's a pretty nice compliment.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what the deal is. I've had enrolled agents, and I'm not saying they're not knowledgeable. I know there are several that are excellent. But the problem is they are not trained in the art of negotiation. They are not trained in the art of argumentation. Attorneys are. And the bigger thing is, attorneys represent their clients zealously. That's drilled into you. You have an ethical obligation to represent your client ethically. And too many of those enrolled agents aren't like that. I got to tell you, Steve, I'm going to end with this story. I had an enrolled agent here. He was a former IRS employee, and he was going to have his client spend tens of thousands of dollars and set up a payment plan that would have cost him $30,000, $40,000 before this settlement officer. And I said, no, you're not, because I was familiar with the case. I said, you're going to turn down the deal. You're going back to collections, and that guy's not going to pay a dime because he doesn't have the ability. And that's exactly what happened. But his words to me were, I just wanted to get one of my pieces of inventory out of here. I said, they're not pieces of inventory. They're real live human beings. We're here to help them. They are not something you just want to get out of your workload. So we really stress that. We go for the extra mile for our people. That's what people pay us for. That's what we fight for every single day.
Well, I hate the fact your show goes by so fast. Now, for the ones who cannot see on YouTube, can you give everybody, you can just give them your toll-free number if you want.
Well, the toll-free number is 888-367-6512.
You have offices in St. Genevieve, the St. Louis area, Nashville, the Tennessee area, San Antonio, the Texas area. Lance, I got to tell you, I just wanted to say this.
And Houston, Texas, Steve. Houston, Texas.
Oh, that's right. I got to say Houston now. I can't keep up with you. So we'll see you next Tuesday. And I believe
yes, sir.
We'll see you then. Lance, we love having you on. You've got so much great information. But you know what? You've got the heart. You want to help people, and you really walk the walk.
Well, we try, Steve. That's what we're here for. That's our mission. We're saving Fay Ray from the clutches of King Kong every day.
I love it. Have a good weekend, my friend.
You do as well, Steve.
That's attorney Lance Drury of the Drury Law Firm. We're going to go to break. We'll be right back.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.